cannot lie. Oh no, baby, don't you know it's on my dream? The skin tells me what you need. You let it show.
You were going through a really rough time. You didn't know what to pray for. What gave you comfort?
Alcohol. Being in my own space, exclude myself from society, self-sabotage. That's where I was. People wonder, like, well, what happened to you for like 20 years? I was underneath my own rock.
Listen up. Did you know there was a time when Beyoncé and former Destiny's Child member LaTavia Roberson were a tight-knit duo, just the two of them? Back then, LaTavia was supposed to shine bright, but like many who got lost in Beyoncé's rising spotlight, her moment got cut short and never bounced back. After getting dropped from Destiny's Child, LaTavia fell into a rough patch, battling depression, drinking issues, and personal struggles that nearly broke her. Folks still talk about how, sure, Matthew Knowles might have led the push to kick her out, but rumors say Beyoncé allegedly called some of those shots herself. LaTavia's shared parts of her side, but word is LeToya Luckett, who was also booted, might finally be ready to spill even more shocking details. Could she be holding on to some wild secrets about what went down behind closed doors and just how much Beyoncé really knew? Are we about to find out who actually planned this shakeup? Was Beyoncé already the clear breakout, low-key fine with trimming the group to lock in her spotlight? Did she give the nod to her dad's decision or even quietly push it along? Or was it all Matthew Knowles pulling strings to get rid of anyone questioning the cash flow? That's what we're digging into.
Basically, to make a long story short, the group was together a long time. My father was the person that started the group. Two of the ladies decided that they wanted to fire my father as a manager without ever discussing it with us. We got a letter one day, and we were performing the day before together. That was devastating to Kelly and I. 3 days later, I get a call from their attorney saying that not only do they want their own manager, they want all the money that they've paid my father back. And of course, they didn't want to pay the 20% or whatever. Right. So, which means Kelly and I would have to double up on expenses. So basically, we felt like either we had to find 2 new members or the group would self-destruct. So we were very blessed that God sent us Farrah and Michelle.
And in case you didn't know, LaTavia Roberson has been working on a tell-all memoir called I Am LaTavia, promising to drop some serious revelations. She's planning to tell her whole story in that memoir, everything about her time in Destiny's Child and the struggles that hit her afterward. But even before she drops a single page, we already know some of the real talk, right? LaTavia was one of the original members with Beyoncé, Kelly Rowland, and LeToya Luckett, putting in work on those first 2 big albums, including the smash hit The Writing's on the Wall, which even snagged them 2 Grammys. But here's where it got messy. At some point, LaTavia and LeToya wanted answers about where the money was going, and that set off major drama. They weren't just asking politely, they ended up dragging Matthew Knowles to court in a lawsuit that made big waves. They claimed he tried to get legal guardianship over them and wouldn't share any real financial details with them or their families. Even worse, they said they didn't even know they'd been kicked out until they heard the hit song Say My Name blasting on the radio. That lawsuit also called out Matthew's clear favoritism toward Beyoncé and Kelly, saying he put all his energy into turning them into superstars while leaving the others in the dust.
Okay. That's the last flight out of here?
Yes, sir. You might have to go straight to the airport.
Okay. I don't have no luggage.
I'm rolling. But it's better for you to go home than not have luggage.
No, it's not. It's not. Because where y'all coming out there?
Well, somebody can send your luggage.
But then I'm going to have to wait for 4 days before I get all my stuff.
Well, it's either that or you're going to probably miss.
And Celestine had a color issue. So this is what she said. Coming back to my apartment to tell me that I had made the right decision, she told me that it was just as well. And this is a direct quote. Ashley is talented, but she is so big. She towers over the other girls, and she is too dark and ugly.
When LaTavia later spoke about how they were treated, she didn't hold back. She said Matthew didn't sugarcoat anything, and that kind of harsh talk was hard to handle when you're just a young girl. She said, "We would try not to let it break us, but Kelly was the sensitive one, and sometimes she would go to her room and cry." And let's not forget, there was even talk of Matthew wanting to swap LaTavia out for their choreographer on tour while she was sick. According to LaTavia, Matthew Knowles would have never pulled those moves on his own daughter. Getting kicked out of Destiny's Child hit her like a bad breakup. She called it almost like a divorce. It sent her spiraling into deep depression and struggles with alcohol. She said those girls were her only real friends at such a young age, so losing them felt like her whole world fell apart. Her career took a nosedive after that. She lost years trying to rebuild, but there's always been this big debate. Who's really to blame for how it all went down? Did Beyoncé, even at that young age, play any part? Or was it all on her parents? We know Matthew and Tina Knowles did everything to keep Destiny's Child on top, even if that meant allegedly shutting down the competition. Check this out. Matthew actually managed the group Blake for a while. Blake wasn't some small act either. They had 2 top 10 Billboard hits with 808 and Bring It All to Me, plus their debut album went platinum. With those numbers, you'd think Columbia Records would have pushed them even harder, right? Built on that momentum? They were also tight with huge pop acts of the time and were positioned to be one of the biggest girl groups out there. But suddenly their music got shelved without warning. The album Blake Out was pulled at the last minute, no explanation at all. People have long whispered that Matthew Knowles allegedly got their music shelved because Black was seen as direct competition for Destiny's Child. And that's not even the end of it. There's been talk that beyond shutting down other groups, the Knowles family was determined to make sure no one outshone Beyoncé in any way. On The Wendy Williams Show, former Destiny's Child member Farrah Franklin even claimed there was a rule in place that no one in the group could be lighter skinned than Beyoncé. She said all the other members had to tan so they'd look noticeably darker next to her. Wild stuff. Wow, and not in a good way.
Yeah, that's right. You don't talk about Tina Knowles. Because what she did to Farrah is totally separate from the look that she possesses. Gorgeous woman.
Thank you.
However, I understand that she wanted you to, she was trying to downplay your naturally stunning looks while you were in the group. Did she have you dye your hair, or she wanted you to dye it something other than the stunning black that it is?
Yeah, my hair was red when I was in the group, actually. And I was
Clown red, like the old Kelly red? What?
My hair was red. Yeah. My hair was red. I look a lot different than when I was in the group.
Damn sure do, because I don't even recognize you.
Yeah.
I know your name, but I don't know you.
This is how I would have looked naturally, like, but this is the group. That's how they wanted me to look.
What else would they do to ugly you up?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but I mean, I did have to tan a lot.
Tan a lot? Because they wanted Beyonce to be the lightest one?
I mean, Michelle, I, and Kelly tanned sometimes, so.
Wow. And Beyonce wouldn't tan?
Not unless we were at a beach.
Wow.
Talking about Farrah Franklin, she barely lasted a few months in Destiny's Child. In July 2000, Matthew Knowles put out a statement to MTV saying the group chose to part ways with her after she missed a bunch of shows. Beyoncé even backed her dad's statement, saying that same year it wasn't management pushing Farrah out, but the group itself deciding to let her go. She claimed Farrah missed several gigs and promo events, so they had no choice. But Farrah's got her own version. She says she didn't show up because she'd already quit, claiming she left after getting mistreated. According to her, Beyoncé and her parents did to her exactly what they did to anyone they saw as a threat to Beyoncé's spotlight. And the accusations don't stop there. There are even old receipts claiming Tina Knowles told the other girls to go out and bake in the sun but made sure Beyoncé didn't join them. The idea? Make Beyoncé look lighter next to the others. It didn't stop at tanning either. Apparently Tina allegedly didn't even want to work with darker-skinned girls at all. Check this out. Ashley Tamar Davis, who was once connected to Destiny's Child and worked as a voice coach, shared her own experience. She said Tina didn't want to work with her because she was, quote, dark, big, and ugly. Can you believe that? At the start of the chat, the coach and Ashley were just reminiscing about Destiny's Child memories. But then Ashley admitted she always felt something was off. She could feel the weird energy from Beyoncé's parents, even if she didn't understand it at the time. That's when the coach really opened up about how she was pushed out. When he paused, Ashley asked him to keep going because she genuinely wanted to know what happened, and that's when he spilled everything. Other than making sure Beyoncé always looked like the star, reports say the real reason Matthew Knowles pushed the girls to go solo was because he had big plans for Beyoncé. He wanted to break up the group so she could step into her solo career without any competition holding her back. But when it comes to LaTavia, there's talk that Beyoncé herself might have played a big role in pushing her out. Some claim all those emotional moments of her acting devastated over LaTavia getting the boot were just for show. People have even pointed out that Beyoncé allegedly has a pattern of messing with other artists' careers, so they wouldn't be shocked if she did the same to LaTavia. One example folks love to bring up is Desiree. Beyoncé covered Desiree's song Kissing You for her B-Day album, but renamed it Still in Love, Kissing You, and even gave herself a writing credit. The problem? The deal to use the song never actually went through. Beyoncé went ahead and re-recorded it and even made a whole video. Desiree wasn't having it. She sued for $150,000 in damages and demanded the song's distribution be stopped. But that legal fight also ended up tanking Desiree's momentum in the industry. And let's not forget the rumors about Rihanna.
I signed Rihanna, and we had a showcase. And at the showcase, there were 2 artists performing. Her name is Tierra Marie, and she's a really sweet girl. And the truth is, I was paying a little more attention to her than I was to Rihanna. After the showcase, you know, Beyonce just gave me one of those looks, and he said, that Rihanna girl, she's a beast. And she looked away, right? And I was like, so I did a Rihanna double take, you know? But it wasn't as though I didn't believe in Rihanna. I love that girl, right? But I paid a little more attention when Beyonce said that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word was, Beyonce didn't like how Rihanna was blowing up and working closely with Jay-Z. Some say she allegedly tried to block her success once she realized Rihanna was on track to be a massive star. There were even claims that Beyoncé convinced Jay-Z to leak Rihanna's album A.N.T.I. early to give Beyoncé's formation a leg up. Anti actually leaked on Tidal, which by the way is owned by Jay and Beyoncé. What's wild is that in the beginning, Beyoncé supposedly wanted Rihanna to replace Tierra Mari because she thought Tierra was the bigger threat. But that move backfired big time when Rihanna ended up becoming an even bigger superstar. But even with all these wild accusations flying around, Beyoncé has always shut it down, saying she never tried to sabotage anybody's career. In interviews, she claims she's too focused on her own grind to even think about plotting on someone else. People in her corner swear she earned that spotlight fair and square. They say she was the hardest worker and Destiny's Child, always putting in crazy hours in the studio and making sacrifices others wouldn't. She didn't just want it, she lived for it. Still, for the folks who got pushed out or faded into the background, those memories sting to this day. Being replaced or ignored like you didn't matter, that's not something you just shrug off. It's pain that doesn't fade even decades later. This drama is part of Beyoncé's legacy, whether anyone likes it or not. For every die-hard fan who calls her the ultimate superstar who built her empire with talent and hustle, there are others convinced she stepped on people to get there. Maybe the real truth is somewhere in between, but one thing's for sure, these controversies aren't going anywhere. Even with all these rumors swirling, Beyoncé mostly stays silent. She doesn't really clap back or break it all down, she just lets her music and sold-out shows do the talking. Fans claim that proves she's too classy to get dragged into drama, but critics say her silence is suspicious, that maybe she's got things she doesn't want the world to know.
And it hurt very, very, very bad. And still to this day, I have dreams about them, and I still miss them sometimes. And it's so sad, and it's so unfortunate that all of those years, you know, it happened like that. And we would have never thought, when the first album came out, I would have never thought that we would end up not being together. We had been in the house.
Meanwhile, ex-collaborators and insiders keep dropping little bombs, hinting at secrets and shady moves that keep everyone talking. One thing's for sure, Destiny's Child wasn't just any girl group, they were global giants, but that path was full of mess behind the scenes. Lawsuits, people getting pushed out, friendships getting wrecked, it's all part of the legend now. And as more folks start spilling what really went down, there's always another layer waiting to be peeled back. You can bet there's even more drama hiding behind those closed doors. And get this, another career folks claim got crushed because of Beyoncé was Blue Cantrell's. Both Blue and Beyoncé were blowing up around the same time, so naturally there was competition, and some say Blue had to go. There were even rumors swirling that Jay-Z and Blue had a thing going on. But when people asked her about it, Blue always shut it down, saying there was nothing between them. Although she did admit to Wendy Williams that she had a major crush on him. Crazy, right? And honey, the list of careers Beyoncé's been accused of sabotaging is long, like real long. So it wouldn't shock a lot of folks if LaTavia's name ended up on that list too. Now, LeToya Luckett's always played it cool in public. She said she'd never talk bad about Beyoncé because Bey gave her the big break she needed. Plus, all the girls showed love and supported Beyoncé during her tour, and she even gave them a shout out on stage. But if the talk going around is true, that loyalty might be wearing thin. Word is LeToya and LaTavia could finally be getting ready to drop some serious tea. I mean, if Beyoncé was really against kicking them out back then, why didn't she fight harder to keep her childhood friends? Or was she just 19, stuck in her dad's power plays, forced to pick between loyalty and her own come-up? It's wild that more than 20 years later, we still don't have a straight answer. All we've got is LaTavia's heartbreak, Matthew's tough-as-nails reputation, and Beyoncé's unstoppable rise. Maybe that changes when LaTavia's tell-all finally hits and LeToya speaks up. But I want to hear what you think. Did Beyoncé really have a hand in ending LaTavia's career? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the latest drama.